Hello there, Singate School. I would like to spend some time talking about memorizing the fretboard and that video. Now, Papa Gates said that memorizing the fretboard can turn a good player into a great player. So he gave us some tips, and I personally found it kind of hard to do. Not saying it's wrong, because I thought he did a really great job. I really liked it, but I found another way that was a little bit easier for me, and I thought it might be easier for you too, and I would like to share it. So before I start, please don't say I'm wrong in the comments and just leave it there. Tell me why I'm wrong and explain why it is so I can fix it, so I can understand more, because like you, I'm still learning. I have 2 years of serious experience, so I'm still kind of new. So let's get started. So here I have the notes on the fretboard. Now, don't worry about these lines. I'll get to that in a minute. But if we said play the E string, high E string, or the A string, or anything like that, you would know exactly what I was talking about, because up here in the open position, we have, those are notes, those are sounds in on itself. So when I started, I learned the mnemonic Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. And that's how I remember that order. And I noticed that there's other tunings embedded into the fretboard already. So I thought, why not memorize tunings? Now, if I was tuned down to D standard, I would say the low D string, which would be right here for academic purposes. We're gonna just talk about it as if it was E standard. Now, since that mnemonic up here worked for E standard, we tend to remember stories and patterns, that kind of thing, and to enhance our learning. So I came up with mnemonics for each individual tuning. Now these lines here are divided up so I can learn it in pieces, and if you're a beginner, I highly recommend that you not only write this out like how I did here, but like cut it up into little pieces. Then it looks a lot less daunting to you. But if that doesn't work for you and something else works, hey, go for it. Right, everyone learns differently. That's what makes us as humans special. So over here, I cut it up into smaller pieces because 12th fret is the same as this one, because that's its octave. And then I noticed if we go down a half step, that's just E standard, D standard, C standard, and so on. Now, mnemonics, I tend to go for the whole notes first because they're just easier to remember. So like, for example, D standard would be doctors get called for a dose. Now there's D standard. But if I go up to, say, C standard, which now has sharps or flats, that gets a little harder. Now, some of these mnemonics, they can be kind of stupid or what have you. It doesn't really matter, just if it gets you to remember it, that's the goal here. So my mnemonic for C standard would be calls from a sharp dude sharpens good communication. Not really my most creative mnemonic, but up in B standard, I don't really need a mnemonic because there's already one right there. If we notice right here, B-E-A-D, that's just bead, and I remembered that there's an F sharp there, so you kind of have to brute force that into your brain. But up here, B, remember, these strings right here, 6 and 1, they're the same thing, because once again, those are octaves. So you can make a 5-word mnemonic, or you can use a 6-word mnemonic. It doesn't matter, just so long as you know that. Now, the others, you kind of just have to come up with your own thing, because if I regurgitate all of my mnemonics, that would be helpful for you too, but also if you come up with your own, you're gonna remember it better because it's unique to you and only you. So if I'm looking at this right here, you're probably thinking, well, that's great, but there's a lot of other spots. Like this block right here is full, whereas this block has only one. Well, if we remember our theory correctly that about sharps and flats up here in A, if we go up, that's just A flat standard. All we have to remember is that up here on the third string, that's a B note, because if we go back here and see fret 5, there's a C, move up, that's B, and then on E we just move up, to an F. And we notice everything else is in its sharp form or its flat form, however you want to look at it. And up into this first little block right here, these two, I kind of brute force memorized it, but to be honest, it's not that hard to remember. So that might take a little bit of work on your part, but if you know a mnemonic for 1 and 2 or any of the other frets, then that's great. Hey, whatever works for you. This is just how I do it. I hope that this helps you, because this actually really helped me in memorizing the fretboard. And when I'm just riffing and I play something and I think, hey, that sounds cool, and I want to know what notes they are, I kind of go back to this technique, and that's how I remember notes. I hope this helps, and once you get this memorized, you can try Papa Gates's scale, where you play the C note on the 6th string, C note on the 5th string, and so on, and do your scales like that, and it will, I think, help you a little better to first kind of know a ballpark of the fretboard first, and then try that, so it's not as much as tearing your own hair out like he said earlier. So rock on, and thank you.